Howdy y'all, it's your boy Q, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a cheap fuzz sound like a more expensive one. Let's get to it.
If you made it this far, welcome to the Q Show. Gonna learn a thing, it's probably in the title.
So here goes. This video is for the people. I love a good fuzz, and this is not to say that this is going to make your cheaper fuzz pedal sound exactly like your favorite boutique, perfectly matched. Even the bleed of the transistors is doing something fuzz that is made from lead and asbestos. But what I can do is explain to you a little bit about what's going on in those really cool fuzz pedals, help you recreate it with stuff you may already have lying around. So what we've got here is a Behringer SF300. We've got the DoD 280. We've also got one of my favorite, the Wampler Equator. That one. We're going to be using these three to kind of explain what's going on, and maybe you'll be inspired to apply this advice to other effects even. All right, here we go. Bridge clean tone. Cool. So let's talk a little about what we have here and what it's going to do. We've got the first thing you want is a great bass fuzz tone. Now, thankfully, Behringer famously makes a very cheap, very popular fuzz clone. So you're welcome to get this or one of those mini big muffs or a micro fuzz face. It doesn't have to be expensive. It just needs to get the initial clipping done in a good way. I've already got this configured to what I feel is more or less the best I'm going to get out of this pedal with this guitar. So cool, it's a fuzz. I feel like it sounds pretty good. But maybe we can do something else. When you pair those older transistors, a lot of people talk about how you get like infinite sustain thing going on. So I opted for this opto compressor because I feel like it can give a good squish, but then it kind of bounces back in a way that almost sounds like pressure is pushing through, and maybe you'll see what I mean. Let me turn this on. Do you feel how the low end kind of continues to give push? That can be really cool when you're doing droney stuff. All right, pretty cool, but there's more. Another cool thing about your favorite fuzz, and especially the boutique ones that are like for specialized uses, is the tone stack is generally super catered towards whatever you are building it to. So we have today a Equator. Let me move this guy over. Equator. So what I did with this is I found the two mid frequencies that I felt were a little too hunky, and I reined them in a little. This is a bit of a fine line to me, and check it out. Turn it on. Now that might sound to some more musical when you're by yourself, but when you're in a band setting, that might not even be the move. And we're not even talking about how like when you're live, different frequencies will project into the crowd at different levels. So when you play live, you might want your fuzz to sound more like this, and I'm not even kidding. Now, obviously, all I did was I rolled back the lows, but that can be really helpful if you've got a band with bass and you're trying to make, I mean, obviously any band has bass. If you got a band that is trying to sound as big as possible, you should not be everything. Rolling your low end will actually allow your amp to project more, so you're literally going to be louder in those high frequencies, and it gives the lows to the bass and the drums, which is going to let them, in turn, also sound louder. So with this all together, you can get something like this. Or if you're playing or you can do stuff like boost certain mid frequencies. So now, not my first choice, but I wanted to kind of highlight a little mini lesson on like the versatility of EQ and what it can do for this fuzz effect. So to me, that's pretty powerful knowledge if you're not hip to it. And the key to making that practical would just be making sure that you have the EQ on this neutral, or in a place that you think is like a sweet spot, like the best it's gonna get without cutting or boosting anything too much. Once you're at that spot, you're kind of setting it up for the new tone stack to do its thing. In this case, my dual parrot EQ. But graphic EQ or even the EQ in your amp can be tools for this. The EQ in your amp even can be used for this kind of thing, but because the amp's EQ can be before or after the gain stages, your mileage may vary compared to using this with the fuzz into the clean signal. It's gonna have very pronounced cuts. Like you do that. Pretty potent. Let's get a little before. And after. And there. Have it. What do you think? Did you hear a difference? I mean, obviously it sounds different, but do you feel like this really gets you to the place of some of your favorite boutique fuzzes? I feel like it gets you more than close enough, and it can probably help you get what you have already and kind of fit it into the gear you have without needing a $400 pedal. With the right knowledge, you can make a lot with a little. And that's what we're trying to do here today. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw here, like it, share it, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you next time on The Q Show.